Hey, hello everyone in Momentum Tribe. My name is Spencer Combs, and I just thought it would be cool to just take a few minutes, and I don't know how long this is going to take. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's 30 minutes, but I know Alicia and I actually go back a good ways, and we may have a lot of good stuff because Alicia's got a lot to teach a lot of people, and so I wanted to bring her on the screen. So a little bit about Alicia before we actually introduce you to her. I met her through she's a real estate agent in the Columbia, South Carolina area. I was a productivity coach for the office that she was in at the time. And when she came on board, everybody had to come through me. And so I got to sit down and have a good bit of interaction with Alicia and learn a tremendous amount about her past and a lot of things that she's done. And since then, she's gone on to continue and grow her real estate business well beyond what I think she originally thought she could do. So without any further ado, welcome to the show, Alicia Small.
Hi, Spencer. Best productivity coach ever.
Thank you. So we were just talking a little bit before we actually started recording, and I think let's just cut right down into the whole thing. I want to learn a little bit more about you and your past in terms of kind of your backstory, and then we're going to learn a little bit more about some of the challenges you had, and then how you dealt with them. And that's really what we're really looking for, because qualified champions is something we talk a lot about. Qualified means that this person's getting results, and champions are people who believe that they have an impact in their life and that life doesn't just happen to them. So I believe that you actually exemplify both of those things, and that's why you're on the call. So let's start with a little bit of your history. Right now, I'm assuming you still live in Columbia.
I still live in Columbia.
Okay, so have you always been in Columbia, or did you move here?
No, I got here via military. I'm a military brat. My dad was military 23 years. I'm originally a country girl from North Carolina.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. And sixth grade, we moved to South Carolina. Ninth grade, we moved to Germany. And then I came back for college, graduated Columbia College, got married to a military man, moved away and came back. So I always come back to Columbia, and I've been here for a while. I don't see myself leaving anytime soon.
Gotcha. So so as a military, you called yourself a military brat? Is that what I heard you just say?
Yeah, military brat. That's what we call military kids.
Pretty common statement. I know. I was just making sure that you said it, not me. So military brat. Tell me a little bit about what that means to be a military brat. I mean, how did you see childhood as a child who was heavily associated to the military?
Well, my dad was in the military, I think, before I was born. So I was actually born into it and traveled from a little girl to travel with them. I was in Germany when I was age 4, lived in Kentucky, lived in Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina. And then back in Germany, pretty much from age 16 to age 20. One thing, I was the only child, so that made it, being a military brat and only child made it where, being that you travel a lot and you change your group of friends, you're the new person, you kind of learn how to be yourself and how to be okay with being by yourself. And my mother is a huge reader. And so I became a huge reader because she would have her book and I would have my book, because when traveling, it takes you a while to get to know people. So military really helped me to horn in on the importance of reading, because when I would read, it was like I was traveling, because you travel into that book, into that story. And it really develops a certain way of thinking. But I'll say the most important thing about military was I learned to be diverse. My best friends when I was in Germany was Guamanian, Korean, Samoan, Puerto Rican, Mexican. I had best friends that were from all different cultures, and I learned about different cultures when I went to their homes. And so it just kind of helps cultivate you to be a diverse person, which is actually excellent in the field that I'm in now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually have a similar background too. I didn't start and finish the same school, and this is probably not true for you, but I didn't start and finish in the same school, but twice in my entire grade school life.
Wow.
So Similar to you, though, I guess it allows us to become very much adaptable to no matter who we're talking to.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's a extreme benefit, too, when you can have that level of diversity in a field where you are in an influence business, where you need to connect with people so that you can help convert or move them forward. And it's obvious based off of your results that you've been getting. So diversity, you learn to read. You have a lot of culture exposure to a lot of different types of culture as well. Although it doesn't sound like you went too far above maybe Kentucky.
Yeah, no. Oh, well, with my husband, Fort Drum, and I was in Alaska 3 years.
Oh.
Yeah, and Oklahoma for some months. So a little bit here and there.
Okay. All right. So then somewhere along the way, you got into adulthood. You have children.
I do. I have my children now 30 years old and 19 years old.
Okay. So 30 and 19. You also have a grandchild.
I do. I have London. I call her Boss Baby. And she is 4 because although she's the youngest thing, she bosses wherever she goes.
Yeah, you can tell that you love your grandbaby. She's on all your stuff. So,
oh, yeah.
With all these things you have going on, somewhere along the way, how did you enter the working world? I know you said you went to Columbia College. What did you go to school for first?
I went to school for psychology. Because I love learning about people and what they're thinking and why they react to certain things and just the mindset. I love it. And so I went to school for psychology. My original plan was to graduate Columbia College, go to Chapel Hill, RUSC, and get my master's in counseling. I wanted to open up a counseling center. But I ended up getting married, moving to Alaska. And in Alaska, where we were at, the concentration was on Alaskan culture and Alaskan people, and I didn't have any experience with that, so I found it hard to get into that field. Mm-hmm. So I ended up doing civil service. As a military wife, you kind of have a leverage up to get into civil service. And I say that because that's how I got to Verizon. When I moved here, I was civil service. Mm-hmm. And when I got here, Verizon Wireless paid more than civil service. So I kind of got out of the military work life, so to speak, into civilian work life.
So then you went into Verizon, and what did you do for Verizon?
Verizon, I was customer service. And one thing I say is Verizon was huge on helping me learn customer service. Also, at Verizon, we talk to people all over the country. So I learned how, the Northerners react to stuff and how the Westerns act to stuff and people on the East Coast act to stuff and people South act. And it's just amazing how we're all in the U.S., but mm-hmm. the cultures and the attitudes are so varied.
Subcultures, it's amazing. Yeah.
Right. So I credit Verizon all the time on teaching me customer service and how to handle different attitudes or different cultures of people.
Can you think of any one particular tactic or how to, if you will, on how to deal with a specific? Can you give us an example of that?
Mm-hmm. How to deal with a specific customer?
Yeah, like when you say they really helped you with customer service. Can you give us an example of something that really blew your mind?
For example,
what's that?
When helping someone with their cell phone from up north. Even though I've traveled in military, I'm really a country Southern girl. Mm-hmm. So you have people from up north calling and they want help with their phone. And I had to learn, they really don't want to hear, well, how was your day? And the sun is out. And oh my God, that tree is so lovely. And what? How is your dog? They don't want all that. They want, how can I help you? Okay, what type of phone you have? What did you say is wrong with your phone? Okay, this is what you do to fix the phone. Right. Whereas when I would speak to someone from the South, it's like, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. Yeah, I was out there planting some tomatoes and I dropped my cell phone and I just need to know how I can, get it back working. And then we might have a whole conversation about tomatoes and farming, and then we'll get to getting the phone.
I love it. So you learned how to get into rapport with people, and you really only had a few minutes to make that happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
you had to learn, pick up on what they want, and then you had to learn, how to handle them according to the few things they say in the beginning.
Yeah, and I bet that has served you well even to this day.
Yeah, it
knowing how.
does. And that's why I say it seems like everything is a lesson and everything happens for a reason, and it's all happened to get you to that next point or that next step. It all is in alignment. Like no time is wasted.
It's
Everything
amazing.
has a purpose.
So we got from Verizon. Where did the shift to real estate happen? Did you go from Verizon to real estate, or was there anything else in between?
I had liked real estate when I was in my 20s. And I had, when I first got back from Alaska, and we were making Columbia our home, I went to real estate school, but I don't know what happened after that. I don't know if I didn't take the test, or I'm not sure what happened, but I didn't do real estate. But what happened is I set up my exit strategy to exit corporate America, to do my own business, which was not real estate. And because of my marketing skills, or what I thought was marketing skills, another realtor who had been in business 30-something years reached out to me to be her marketing person. And I didn't want to do it because I'm doing my own business. I can't work for no one else. But it ended up being that I needed to have that extra income. So I started as a virtual marketing person. Then I started managing properties. Then I started doing real estate seminars, real estate packages, investment seminars. And it just built up from working as her assistant that I just started loving real estate. And it wasn't even just all about loving real estate. It was loving helping the people to realize their dream and accomplish their dream, or helping them get to that point that they can purchase a home. And so I just decided I wanted to do it for myself.
Love it. Love it. So then you said it so much ease, and yet all the way up to that particular moment where you said, I'm going to do this for myself. Everything you just shared was very well seasoned with quite a few valleys, quite a few pitfalls, challenges.
Yes.
Are you willing to share any of those particular maybe major transformations you had along the way in that time frame up until you decided to go into business or real estate for yourself?
Yeah, well, I do tell people that that I get to know, or that I talk to, or that inquire, I could not do the things I do now being the woman that I used to be. Because I was married 17 years. I was almost 300 pounds. I went through a terrible divorce, and went through where my mindset was nowhere near where it's at now. And you know what they say, you have to hit rock bottom to come back up. So I lost my house, I lost my car, and I lived with a friend out of plastic bins for a while, me and my son. But that period, I tell people all the time, was my wilderness period. The lady that I stayed with was wonderful. She was an angel. I mean, it was a great experience, but that was when I got closer to God, and I allowed myself to listen to him, because I had not been, I've always been a saved child, I would say, but we do what we want to do and we don't listen all the time. So I always said that was my wilderness period, because that's when my mindset started changing during that period. And it was through that mindset change that I was able to have the faith and the boldness to step out and do something for Alicia. I had the lap band procedure because I'm a firm believer. I was overweight for 20-something years. If what you're doing is not working, stop doing it. Do something different. And I know some people are like, oh, that was the easy way out. And I tell them all the time, no, it wasn't. I ended up having to go to the gym 3 times a day. I had to manage what I ate, or else you would literally get sick. I had to make sure I did the things that I needed to do to stay healthy. And I wouldn't change a thing. If I had not had that surgery, I may not be here, because my blood pressure was out of control. Also, like I said, I could not do real estate at almost 300 pounds.
No.
Just the energy that it takes, I couldn't. So all of that was necessary to get to this point. So yeah, there's a lot of valleys. Everything may look good, but there was a lot of valleys and dips, and there's still going to be valleys and dips. But because of a mindset change, you're able to handle those.
So can you think of a specific time where you felt or where you had an actual shift in mindset? Was it a book you were reading? Was it just somebody you heard?
I'm gonna be honest. my mindset was already changing when I was setting up my exit plan to go into business for myself. Because I told God, I was like, I don't have any certain skills. You know, I don't know how to sew. I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to bake. What can I do? Person. So he actually had me start travel, and then the travel business led to other business, which ended up leading to real estate. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to credit that the lady that I worked for, when I tell you she is by the book on reading the Keller Williams Bible on real estate, reading books by millionaires, applying what you read, reading anything mindset change, and then also that atmosphere. Because I grew up, even though I was military, only child, and probably lacked nothing, my mindset was a mindset of lack. Mm-hmm. And so when I got introduced to the real estate world and I saw the possibilities and learned through doing her, you know, it was things that she had me do things that I didn't know I could do. And because she asked or told me to do it, she drew it out of me. Yeah. And then I saw people that looked like me getting together and investing and buying $100,000 properties and making $30,000 profit. I met people that had $15,000 in their bank account that they weren't touching or investing in this and that. And it changed my mindset that these are the things that you do to be able to have that and do that. And then it's like it carried over from her to when I went to Keller Williams. Keller Williams taught me how to not just do real estate, but how to do it as a business, and taught me mindset changes and belief changes and affirmations. And it just all went together. And so for the last 2 years, my mind has been blown on those concepts that I've learned and learning to not limit yourself. It's a struggle and it's hard. And if you allow negativity to come in, it can break you down. But if you apply those things that you learn, you overcome that.
Mm-hmm. So you just shared essentially there's 3 major pivot moments in your life. You made a decision to get divorced and you went through that process. You made a decision to do something about your health. You went through that process. And you made a decision to go into business for yourself somewhere along the way. And you went through that process. So which one of those 3 would you like me to help break down with you on how you did it using the Qualified Champions blueprint? Because all 3 of those, I bet you they have a similar model that you went through. But which one do you think you'd like to break apart?
It would be between 2 and 3. So 1 was the weight loss, and the second was, and I would say because I'm steady on that journey of being in, I would say the breaking into business. But you know what? I'll let you pick which one, you know, because you're the expert. Based on those 3, you pick which one would better help me and others.
Well, people love to talk about health, and especially weight loss, because it's something visceral. It's something physical, so you can actually, physically see it. I just posted on Facebook the other day. I don't know if you've seen it, but I put 2 pictures side by side, and about 2 months ago, I was 217, and now I'm, I'm below 200 for the first time in forever.
Wow!
But that's not just a process. It's also a perception. So it's mindset, what you were just talking about. There's mindset and mechanics is how we call it. Mindset, mechanics.
Okay, I like that. I'm taking notes.
Movement. And you got to have movement, right? So there's plenty of people that have the mindset, and there are people that have mechanics, but their movement is going to determine which quadrant or which direction they're headed in. And we're actually going to share some of that stuff at the Momentum launch. If anybody's watching this or here and want to go to it, just go to spencercombs.com or search Momentum launch. You'll probably find it. But anyway, most people like to talk about the health because you can see it. You can physically see it.
Right.
Where it comes to business, you dealt with a whole different, it wasn't quite so visceral to notice right away, other than knowing that your real estate business did in fact pick up. You started making sales and things happen. when initially you weren't quite sure you could believe it.
Right.
So I don't mind using the real estate business, because one, it's something fresh and right in front of us. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
From a mindset perspective, let's break down the mindset part of this. Okay, the perception.
Okay.
It's one of the tenets of the Qualified Champion foundationally that accountability is a big part of it. We define it as the ability to account. So, Alicia, if you were going to have somebody take over your business for you, what are some of the things that you measure to make sure that your business is doing what it should? How do you account for your business and the talents you have?
Let me make sure I understand. How do I account for my business?
Yeah. How do you keep up with it? What are some of the things that you use to keep up with your business?
Using tools like, oh my goodness, my calendar.
Okay.
That is a must. My database.
Okay.
Is a must. And then we keep a whiteboard that tells us our closings and our, like our prime clients, that are approved and ready to buy. The biggest thing I find with business is to be organized, be prepared, the database and tools, and setting up those appointments to meet your clients.
Gotcha. So at the end of the day, really what we talk about with accountability is also, it's from the mindset perspective, it's you own your results. And I know that's really difficult in the real estate business sometimes, because even just last week, if I remember, or was it earlier this week, like you just had a really crappy day where everything just fell apart. Practically.
Yeah. You own your business. If you decide not to wake up and run your business, it's not going to run. You have to make that decision, but there are things that's out of your control, like you being my productivity coach before, and I spoke with you and I was like, I just lost $18,000 in commission. And it's like, that's beyond your control, because people change their mind. Sometimes lending doesn't go through. But the key to it is you cannot fall down, give up, throw in the towel. You may want to, and you get 5 minutes to throw in the towel, but guess what? You better get back up. So the next day, I'm showing 3 customer houses. I'm trying to do this at your business. You still have to run your business. You have to pick it up and continue running your business. And I kid you not, it's hard, but if you keep going, it will work out. And those that you thought you lost will be replaced.
Absolutely.
But you must get up every morning and run your business as a business.
So this is one of the things I love about you, because when things are not going well, you are accountable for your results. And the next phase of this conversation is about focus. And so you already went there naturally. So your focus goes to where it needs to go, which is where you're headed, not what you're trying to get away from, right? If you dwell on the $18,000 we lost, I'll never make it up. Because it'll put us in a state that will never create a solution to move us forward. So the focus needs to be on what you want. Now, you also then took it to the next one. I don't even know that you realize this. This is the power of the Qualified Champion, to show that this stuff is well thought out. So accountability, then focus, then you said you shared a belief, and that's number 3. You said it can be made up. Did you hear yourself say that?
It can be made up. I heard myself say it. Thank you. Yes, it can be made up.
Those are beliefs. And if the belief doesn't empower you to move forward, then it's probably not serving you, and you need to get rid of that belief, or you need to replace it. Really, we teach people to replace beliefs, not remove them.
I like that.
So if we're going to replace the belief, we got to find one that's more empowering. But in your case, what has helped you move forward, and I bet you it's the same with your divorce and with your weight loss, with the business as well. When things aren't going well, we own the result. What did we learn from that? What can we do differently for the next one? We didn't really talk about feedback, but that's in that conversation. Right. We focus on what we want, and then we have a set of empowering beliefs that move us forward. So like in your case, you said, I can make it up. I can do more, right?
Right. I've always told myself for every deal lost, God is going to multiply that and give me more. And that's one of my beliefs. And the other thing is having support, people that you can go to that remind you who you are and remind you why you're doing what you're doing, so that you can pick yourself back up and say, you're right. Let me dust myself off. Okay, I got it together. I'm back in the game.
Community makes a huge difference. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, and by the way, entrepreneurs, one of the things I have to deal with a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and that kind of thing is we have a habit of believing that we're the only one. It's like one of the loneliest games out there, and yet we're not lonely at all. There's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of entrepreneurs and sales and whatever business owners, and we make ourselves significant by thinking we're the only one. And that's
right.
not true. So the last piece of the mindset though is flexibility, and that's essentially what you just said. No matter what, I can find a way.
Yeah, you got to get back out there. And it's so funny how you were saying when that happens, then you have to believe that you're going to get more, and you learn from it. I think you had mentioned about something like that happens, and then you figure out what to do better next time. Mm-hmm. And it happens when I had one of the incidents. I was like, okay, this is a learning lesson. So I wrote down 5 things to start doing or stop doing as a result of that experience. So then it's like a safety net. Okay, so I'm better prepared for next time. So everything is a learning lesson, and mm-hmm. you just apply it next time to try to make sure you win.
Yeah. Well, in a business like real estate and a bunch of other ones too, some of those lessons are expensive, but I will remind most people that when you go to college and you want to make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year, you usually end up spending a ton of money on your education. And sometimes our education or yours, like in real estate, is an $18,000 loss in a day. That's educational cost, basically. As long as we use those lessons not to repeat them.
Right. So, and also, when you have the time and you set your business up as a business, when those things happen, sometimes it won't hurt as much because it's all part of business. You have your profit and you have your loss, and you move on. But if you're starting out the first few years, it takes a while to build up. Mm-hmm. But it's also teaches you, I might need to hurry up and get structured a little bit more so that when this happens, it doesn't hit you. It's not a TKO.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the mechanics of this, right? The process. Okay. So the first thing we talk about in qualified champion material is resources. Now you already actually shared some of those because we inadvertently went that route when you talked about the calendar database. You have your board. You talked about being organized, being prepared. We could probably go on with a pretty lengthy list of resources you have between technology and people.
Coaches, support, like you have I always say my mastermind group, it's a group of realtors who we understand each other. We understand the field, and we can help each other to understand how to handle certain things, build each other up,
Yeah, and that's a resource. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. The other resources, a lot of those are tangible. There's also intangible ones, like the one you just mentioned a minute ago with Verizon. You learn how to become much more adaptable to different, or get what we call rapid rapport, right? So connect with people quickly. That's an intangible skill that is actually a resource for you. So it would probably be really cool for you to someday do what we call a resource assessment. We have a 4-quadrant thing. Mm-hmm. But that would be neat, because then there's some things in our lives that we want to keep. There's some things we want to plan for and get resources into our lives. There are some resources we have in our life that we need to purge. Right?
I'm sure.
And then there's some resources we need to protect ourselves from. I mean, we don't need those around us at all. Get rid of that. So cool. So resources. What's the main? You're looking at real estate in your business per se. what's the outcome you're really after on a regular basis? How do you measure your success? I'm hesitant to ask that question because most people want to go with the warm and fuzzy one of helping families and all that kind of stuff. But how do you know when your business is doing well?
We're all in the business to help people and make money.
Right.
So when I know my business is going well is when I'm able to write the contracts, close the deals. But in the process of doing that, writing the contracts and closing the deals with people who wasn't qualified at first, and I've helped them, held their hand, and helped them along the way to get there. But the bottom line is the closings and the contracts.
Okay, so closings would be the one outcome that you're primarily after.
That is the outcome everyone is after, and it's not necessarily. Closings is not necessarily for the money. It's for the options and freedom that closings provide.
Absolutely. Yeah, and this is the mechanical side of the conversation. I'm not looking to – I don't think anybody needs to question your heart and why you do business. And quite frankly, closings for you mean that you get to do more things with is it London, you said?
London, yeah. And I tell people I like to eat. I lost the weight. I still like to eat, and I like to eat good, and that costs money.
We want a life. That's the purpose of having this business, is to fuel everything we want to do.
And let me share this. I mean, it's something simple that probably a lot of people do, but I recently took London to Atlanta. And I know it doesn't seem like a big deal to some people, but London had never been. Mm-hmm. And I'm her grandmother, so you want your grandchildren to experience stuff. And we went at night, and we stayed in an expensive hotel downtown, so she was right there downtown. And when we rode into Atlanta at nighttime, she was in the backseat. She was like, "Oh my God, Grandma, this is so amazing! It's so beautiful." And then when she walked into the room on the 72nd floor, and she could see the CNN building and the Ferris wheel and the Coca-Cola building and the aquarium, she was like, "Oh my God!" And that right there was worth everything, because she experienced something she never experienced before. And because I was doing what I was doing, I was able to give her that experience.
That's incredible. That's incredible. The experiences are what we're after. So
the experiences that we can provide for our family and others.
So many people don't put the emotional attachment to their goals or their outcome. That's what we're talking about right now. So what you've done is associated the outcome of closings to being able to give experiences to London, for yourself, for those around you, and whomever else you choose to share that wealth with. Oh, she just popped off. She'll probably be back in just a second. Let me pause for a second. I don't think I can. Yeah, I can.
Okay.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that, folks. We had a little technical difficulty. But the qualified champion knows this. You've got to be flexible. So sometimes things happen, right?
Right.
Okay, so the outcome is closings. We've established that. You've got resources. We've talked about some outcome, which is closings. Mm-hmm. The breakdown for closings, or the process to get closings, is just, crazy. That's an enormous list. It's an enormous list.
It's a lot of work. People don't realize just how much realtors work.
No, that's true. I agree. I've been around realtors for years. So could you give me maybe like a 4 or 5 step, what does it take to get somebody from buying, conversation to close, basically?
Well, we do a lot of marketing, and we try to tell people the advantage of being a homeowner. I firmly believe in being a homeowner. God said, possess the land. That's home ownership. So you have to pique someone's interest. You have to help them to believe and understand the importance of home ownership. And then we talk to them about credit, because credit will stand you still. So we talk about credit. We try to get them pre-qualified. So you build a rapport, you conversate, you make phone calls, you email, you text, and you try to get them qualified. Once they get qualified, then you have to educate them on the process of home ownership. and all that it requires, because there's money involved. And, you know, and I tell people, buying a house is not about like buying a shirt. You can't take it back. So we want to make sure that you're happy with what with what you have. So it's a conversation. And then a lot of time is spent looking for a home, especially in the market we're in now, where homes are flying off the shelf. There's multiple offers. So it's a lot of time spent looking for the home, but it is during that time that you build that rapport, that relationship. And once we find a home, then we go through the process of proving that you are well qualified with the lender. So that's that process. The closing attorneys do what they need to do. And basically, at this time, the realtor is basically holding your hand, just checking on everything, making sure everything is okay. It's a lot of time spent in those 30 to 45 days on just ensuring that everything is okay. Because a lot of times people want a stress-free experience, and not that it can always be stress-free, but you want to make it as stress-free as possible.
Yeah, we look to anticipate challenges before they become one.
Exactly. And that's something I had to learn, is to anticipate and try to avoid it instead of waiting for it to happen and then trying to fix it.
Yeah, well, and one thing I can tell you, a lot of qualified champions are actually really good at being proactive, not reactive. So the process, it's really a loaded question, and this is where most people get really, really bogged down when we start breaking things down, because everybody wants to make it really, really difficult and spread it out. And the more simplistic we can make it, right? If you could just boil it down to 5 steps or something like that, we can explain it much easier and people will move forward much better. So, and I know I just put you on the spot. I'm sure you've got it. You could break it down, but the more we can boil it into simplicity on our steps, the more likely we can duplicate them, leverage it out, if you will, and get more results. So it's a good idea to clarify the breakdown. So tell me, what are you doing to make your business better? How do you optimize your business now? You there? And we're back.
You're back.
No worries.
If you first don't succeed, try again.
Keep it going, right? So,
that's right.
So the last part of this whole thing, okay, is how do you improve or consistently work on optimizing your business? What kind of things are you doing now to keep making it better?
You basically, what I have to do is I have to take time every month to sit down and see, how was the month? Okay. What did I do that worked? What did I do that didn't work? And sometimes I call people like my ex-coach Spencer or another realtor friend and say, hey, this is what happened. How should I handle this? What can I do differently? So it's really just about analyzing the previous month to make the next month better. Also, staying up on the changes in real estate, paying attention to what some other realtors are doing. If it's something that's working for them, apply it to yourself. It's reading articles, watching videos and YouTube on certain principles, on certain methods that work, and applying it. You got to do the work. Basically, there's no way around it. You have to do the work. You have to put in the time and do the work.
Gotcha. So a monthly review. You study other agents, or actually, I'm betting you probably study other industries too. Anybody that does inbound marketing? You
can apply a lot of other industries to real estate.
Yeah. You mentioned reading, and there's a ton of different routes for reading. Is there anything recently that you've been reading that you think would be a good book for an entrepreneur or a business person, or a class or anything like that?
I was reading my friend Joy McLaughlin's book, The Shift. And it talks about ways to shift your mindset into saving money, doing a business plan. The Millionaire Next Door. And I'm constantly rereading the book, Think and Grow Rich. That is like I'm not gonna say the Bible. Like, you know, we know the Millionaire Real Estate is the Bible for real estate, but Think and Grow Rich is like the Bible for business.
Yeah, and Think and Grow Rich, I don't think most people realize, but the majority of the personal development world really kind of sprouted out of that book.
That most of the motivational coaches, they always refer back to that book.
Yeah, I got it over here.
I know you do. I know you do.
Look at all those books. That's all books over there.
Wow, that's a lot. The other book that I go back to often is The Richest Man in Babylon. Awesome book.
Awesome. So you have shared a tremendous amount of information, and I'm sure there are going to be some people that get inspired by your story. I remember sitting in front of you and you really having a great deal of fear around doing this on your own, because for the longest time you really had been under shadows,
right?
Whether it's your ex-husband or whether it was your previous employer, and this, for the first time, you had an opportunity to step out on faith and do this on your own. And you have obviously shown that you can do this on your own and that you're continuously getting better. So
and I have a lot of help.
Absolutely. And that's, you know what, that's one of the things I have to deal with all the time with business owners. I'll sit down and start talking to them, and one of the first objections they have in their head is, I can do this on my own. I don't need you. I don't need a coach. I don't need information. I already know what to do. I just need to do it. You know, these are all phrases, and then they stay in the same spot for a year or two.
Right. I will tell anybody, you know, before, in the old mindset, we didn't grow up knowing you need a coach or thinking about that concept, but now it's imperative that you have one. It's not even a matter of you following their method step by step. It's just the mindset, the being able to, it's amazing how you can take a problem that you're like, really like, I don't know what to do, and you can bring it up to your coach and they will help give you a resolution. All you got to do is the work. And so that, you have to have that. Going to these classes, going to these programs, these seminars, like Momentum, all of that, it will help you become a well-rounded person, and you will thrive.
Love it.
You have to have that.
Well, I don't know that there's anything else I really need to say. So to everyone watching this video or watch this, I'm pretty sure we've probably come up close to an hour here.
Yeah, boy, that time flew by. Amazing.
Yeah, well, we're having fun. I told you.
Right. We're having fun, and we're teaching others what needs to be done to be successful.
Yeah, and I know that was a big part of why, that was one of the reasons I reached out to you, because I knew you had a heart for that also. I don't like talking to people that don't want to share and think that everything's to themselves. That's obviously, they're not in abundance when they're thinking that way. So
there you go. That mindset of abundance and mindset of giving to receive.
Absolutely. So for everyone that's watched the video with us and taking the time to take some notes and learn a little bit about us, I want to say thank you for being with us. Alicia, real fast, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, you got an email address or a website, or how can people find you, especially if they're looking to buy or sell real estate? They want to touch base with you, or if they just want.
They can find me on Facebook, Alicia Small. They can find me. My email address is asmallrealtor@gmail.
You say asmallrealtor@gmail.com. You kind of froze up there. So anyway, I'm guessing you may have froze up again. No worries. We're gonna round this thing out. So asmallrealtor@gmail.com. And also, you can find her on Facebook as Alicia Small, just like it sounds, Small. So, and Alicia is Alicia, Alicia. All right. So, again, this is Spencer Combs with Spencer Combs Resources, talking about the elephant in the room, and look forward to bringing more information for you in the future. Keep well and keep moving forward.